a show super excited about today, as I am for every show, honestly. I feel like I say that every single time I get started. But I love doing this, and I love what we're going to be talking about. Today's topic is all about websites, and I have a very special guest, Allison Ellis of Real Flower Business. We're going to be just going back and forth about websites, why you need them, how to do them, goods, bads, and uglies, everything in between. Answer your questions. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to give everyone a couple minutes before we get started, so that way no one misses out on anything amazing. And while we're waiting, of course, as usual, give me a little shout out, say hello, let me know where you're from. Also, a reminder to be sure to post your questions in the comments below. And of course, if we have time while we're going through, we will answer them. But I tried to make sure we kept the questions to not be too many, so that way we don't have a 2-hour show or an hour and a half as well. Has been my average lately, and keep it short and succinct. So go ahead and do that. Very excited to see your guys' questions and also to share your knowledge with everyone else that's watching. One of my favorite parts, actually. Also, just a friendly reminder that we're going to be posting this replay along with the podcast and my show notes over on our blog. That will happen today/tomorrow. And if you want to know of when that is live, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe. So I'm going to post the link for that in the comments, so that way you can do that if you aren't already subscribed, and just be in the know. So you'll get any kind of blog updates, you'll get any show reminders, I ask for questions, and anything else that we kind of promote in terms of what's going on with Mayesh and in the flower world. I promise it's not too many emails, though. I'm not crazy. I promise. And if it is, you can always change your subscription preferences. It's fancy schmancy, you know what I mean? All right, so I see Jen is here from Ohio, Huntress Florals from San Diego. Hey, hey. And I have Nancy. Good morning, Sarah. How are you guys? I love it. Keep it coming. And again, as a reminder, I want to see and hear your questions, so post those in the comments. And right now, I am going to bring on Allison. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I love being here, so thanks for having me back.
Of course. I feel like we were going on like once a year to every other week.
Well, we had one of those hour and a half chats when I was on last month, and we needed to talk more about websites. It was obvious. So I'm really glad we're doing this and not waiting.
Me too. Super, super excited. Before we get into websites, and just in case we have some new people that haven't seen you before and don't know who you are, can you just introduce yourself a little bit? Let us know a little bit about your flower story and what you've been up to since the last time you've been here.
Yes. Well, I am Allison Ellis of realflowerbusiness.com. I have been a floral designer for 25 years, and I've been teaching florists how to run the business side of their business since about 2015. So about I guess we're going on 5 years this year. It's really been a journey for me in terms of course, like most people, I started being a florist because I love flowers and I love working in flower shops and I love doing weddings. And I didn't start my business because I loved business, even though I actually did like business quite a bit. So what I realized is a lot of people are just like me, where they started their business because they like flowers, but not the business side. And so if I can help make the business side a little more fun and easy, I'm all about providing shortcuts and just really direct information on how to do things better and easier, because trial and error is what running a business is all about. And I've done a lot of this trial and error, so yes. I can give you some shortcuts on that. And that's what I do. And I have tons of courses, including free courses and lots of trainings and stuff over on my website at realflowerbusiness.com.
Love it. Awesome. So before we get started, why do florists need a website? What's the big deal?
It is the perfect question to kick this off, You need a website because it is your online storefront. As we have all come to realize in the past few weeks, if you have to do things virtually, it can be done. You can virtually run your business if you have to. And Zoom is not the only way, right? Your website is the way. So I think of it as your online storefront. And so it's not a small detail in your marketing and your branding. And the real, the rubber hits the road when you start to understand the difference between marketing and branding, because while they overlap and we use them interchangeably when we are just having a conversation, they're different things, right? Like your brand is what people think about you, say about you when you're not in the room. And marketing is how you share your brand, right? So it's a layered thing here that we're really talking about. And your website is both those things, right? It's your branding and your marketing, boom, all at once. The other reason you need that website is because you're so busy over on your Instagram, but the Instagram links to your website.
Yes.
So we don't want to be in a place where the Instagram looks better than the website. And that is something that a lot of people have going on right now.
Yep.
Is like the Instagram looks like this, but the website is kind of just back burner. So now's the perfect time to dive into this stuff and make that website look as good as your Instagram or better.
Exactly. My big thing too about a website, and you've heard me say this probably 100 times, but Instagram and Facebook and all these social media platforms that florists and many businesses rely on and really focus a lot of their effort in and kind of forget about their website, they're forgetting that they don't own those social media platforms. So the platform could disappear or change, or the algorithm just really beats the crap out of you and you're not really going to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
And we see those ups and downs. And then also for me, the big one, and it was a big kind of eye opener, was, getting hacked. That has happened to Mayesh's account. We were lucky enough to get it back, but that doesn't happen to everyone. We have a sales rep that has an awesome Mayesh Instagram inspired feed, and Kelly pulls, and it got hacked and we weren't able to get it back. And so she lost all of that. And again, she's not a business per se. So, at the end of the day, it was okay. She took a break from it, honestly, for a little bit. And now she's starting it back up.
Yep.
But I couldn't even imagine being a business, getting hacked and losing all of that. And that was all I had.
Yep.
And then having
that happens.
Yes. Happens all the time.
I was just going to say that is the other thing that happens. It happened here with a local florist who's been in business a bazillion years. So losing her Instagram shouldn't affect her business, right? Like she's been doing this forever, but it's still really kind of devastating when you get hacked and then the photos are gone and now you can't access it. Because what I say all the time, just like you, yes, that you don't own those platforms, but Instagram and Facebook do not love you. They do not care when you get hacked. They don't care. They really don't. They're not running to the rescue, right? And then once you do lose those people, once you lose access to those people, you can't be crushed, right? Because it's a thing that could actually happen. If someone, God forbid, hacked my Instagram, right? I have an email list that has more people than I have Instagram followers, right? So we want to own our stuff. Your website, and I know it's not so sexy to talk about an email list, but let me tell you, that you own, right? And you'll notice Yvonne invited you to join the email list, right? She said, don't forget to subscribe. You can get our email list. You can change your preferences. What a lot of people are doing is they're going, sign up for updates. Well, what is an update? What are you even talking about, right? People aren't even putting in their effort. They're like, well, I've got a sign up form, but then that's it, right? There's no, why would I want to do this? What do I get? Why are you incentivizing me to give you my precious email, right?
Or you give them the email and then you don't hear from them. Like, I don't know how many emails I got when COVID hit from companies that I had never even heard. I was like, I'm on their list. I know end up on a lot of random lists just because of who I am. Yeah. but I was like, oh my gosh, they haven't emailed me since I like bought something like years ago. And now I'm getting this email and it just feels weird,
Do you mind if I jump in and just share, but instead of making them wait till the end, because we were going live today. So I have a website boot camp that it's a 3-day, like how to get your website in shape. And I just added this new thing called marketing shortcuts. And if you sign up for that, which is, I literally just released it today, it's going to teach you all kinds of stuff besides just how to improve your website. So it's a nice add-on to my website boot camp. One of the lessons is how to grow an email list that doesn't suck. Okay. And the thing is, if you have what most florists have, and I love you guys, but what most of you have is sign up for my newsletter, which, by the way, newsletter doesn't sound sexy, right?
No.
Newsletter. Sign up to get a view of my bulletin board. It just doesn't sound cool. So sign up for my newsletter, and then they sign up and you have nothing triggering, right? So in my marketing shortcuts course that I just created for you guys, there's a lesson in there on how to do this. Okay. So it's really something that you got to put effort into. If you're going to add that, opt in here, create something that they will get immediately, right? Deliver what you promise. That's branding, right?
Yeah.
Delivering what you promise, making the promise is your marketing, delivering what you promise is your brand, right? So you got to show up for them. So sign up for tips on how to plan your wedding. Like on my website, not Real Flower Business, but my Floral Art VT, because I do actually run a floral design business as well. When you opt in, you're getting like my Vermont planning guide, tips you want for planning your Vermont wedding. I've got another one that's like 10 tips or something like that, and that'll automatically email you for like a week. So you got to put in some time and effort. Anyway, and I share that with you in the course. So you'll see how that all comes together.
Yeah.
It's important.
And I love that kind of stuff too. And it's really about kind of the inbound marketing piece of everything that I'm a huge believer in. That's what I've implemented at Mayesh. I hardly pay for any sort of advertising, that type of thing. I'm really creating content, targeting people, getting them to our website and getting them to fill out those forms, getting them to sign up for the downloads or the specials or whatever it is. So that way you, again, can continue marketing to them and getting them through your funnel. So that way you can sell and make more revenue. Yeah.
Marketing nerds make more money. We don't spend as much on ads. We do it ourselves. And, for everybody out there who had a great Mother's Day, I was just talking about this last week in my group. First of all, just cheers all around for a great Mother's Day. Seriously, really so proud of everybody. But those people should be on your email list right now. And if they are not, it is like priority number 1 for you. If you sold a whole bunch, you need to have all those email addresses someplace where you know who they are and what they bought from you, right? So that you can then reach out to them in an efficient way next year. This is not even negotiable. You must have that recorded somewhere.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. All right, ready for the first question?
Always. Born ready.
It's a big one. It's from Penny. She says, when starting from scratch, where do you start? Who, what, where, when, and how much? I have a bunch of notes, but I just wanted to give you a chance to kick it off.
I think that this is the question, right? So if you're starting from scratch, and I did see your notes, so I don't want to sound like a cheater, but
no, go ahead and cheat.
The truth is, so I'm a WordPress girl. I use WordPress. I always say I know just enough about WordPress to be dangerous, but if I were starting from scratch, I would start with a Squarespace site. What I would do is I would hire somebody to help me with it. And this is going to sound like a sales pitch, but the truth is I would get my website bootcamp because I show you from start to finish. I redid my website last year, and that's when I made this bootcamp. So I show you if you get a template, right? Because that's how everything starts.
Yes.
You'll have a template. And now you have to reimagine this template, because even if you pay somebody thousands of dollars, because it will be thousands of dollars, to set up a website for you. You still, now I didn't learn this till like the third version of my website. You need to tell them what you want and where. So the first version of my website, I was just lucky that I like was working at a ski resort in the winters, and the marketing guy there was like making websites. So he made me a website, and whatever he made is what my website looked like, right?
Right.
My second website, I had a groom who we bartered, you know, a website for flowers. He showed me how to use it. He told me I would be blogging. So I didn't consider that optional. I just knew that was what a marketing nerd does. You blog, content is queen, and you got to have it on there so that you get that free SEO, because we don't want to pay for advertising. Right. So then when I got a next version of my website, it was better because I had more input. And then when I did the fourth version of my website, I told him exactly what I wanted and where. I want the homepage to do this. I want this to click to that. I want that to click to this. So, and that's what I show you in my website bootcamp. When I'm looking at this template, how I am going to use it to give you that kind of idea that that's what you need to say to your web designer. So I would start with Squarespace. I would hire somebody and I would tell them exactly what I needed and where. Because unless they run your business and understand your customer inside and out, they really, even a great website designer, again, unless they are literally only focused on wedding clients and they know you and your market, they don't know what to put there. And they certainly don't know what it should say.
Right.
The sales copy is a whole nother thing. And I also talk about that in my website bootcamp. So, you know, that's the beginning layer of how to do it. So why don't you read you've got some good notes there on this too.
Yeah, real quick though, Erin talks about your boot camp, how she took it and it was awesome. You know, that and a pandemic allowed me to finally update my website. Great tool. And honestly, an hour show, guys, isn't going to give you everything that you need to know or do. We're going to kind of give you the basics and then you're going to have to figure it out from there, because otherwise it will be like an 8-hour show. And not to make it feel overwhelming, but it is something that you really need to immerse yourself in. And just a little background on myself. I used to work at Progressive Insurance and I know nothing about insurance. You know, it's the same thing. Like I know flowers. I used to design, but I don't know everything about flowers by any stretch of any imagination, just like insurance. What I did there was I was a website experience consultant, you know, very, very fancy. Yeah, right. But what that really meant was I was part of a development team for our online platform to buy insurance. So I was the business person. I would help set up all of the rules and how the website should act and what the experience would be for the customer. So this is something that I'm like super passionate about. I love websites. I love user experience. And the thing that like I love and I still use to this day is a software app called Snagit. So it's what I use to like take screenshots and I can drag things around. And so we just recently redid our website. And to get started, I would make kind of wireframes, but I wouldn't just draw it out. And you could just do that too. Like if you're planning out your website and you know what you need to have on each page and what kind of messaging and where you want things, you can just like draw it out, because developers, the good ones, they're very nerdy and they just are very focused on developing. They're not going to be a designer per se. Like if you are looking for someone, there are like designers out there that make it look pretty and make sense and understand things. But, you know, even our team that works for our website, you tell them something and they do exactly what you say. So you have to be very specific. Right. So create wireframes. You could just draw it out if you want. And so that way you're planning out your content. But I use Snagit. That's like my favorite thing. So that way it's more visual. And so, yes, website builders, my favorite hands down in terms of all the ones that are out there is Squarespace. I'm not getting anything for saying that. I've used it for creating different websites for different people and different things. Once in a while, I've even done a soccer website. So, you know,
I bet it's the best soccer website.
It's okay. They could have done a better job with it. I gave them the basic and it's very pretty and cool, but you gotta put into it too. So I can only do so much. But again, I think it's a favorite among creative businesses because of the templates and they're so clean and pretty. And in terms of like cost, there's three things, right, with Squarespace, and it's like all encompassing. So you go in there, you do it all there, which is again something nicer, especially for someone that's starting from scratch and it's beginning. So you can buy your domain. Prices range. It depends what your domain is if you don't have it yet. But let's say it's about $20 per year, right? And then for your website, the Squarespace website, so that way it's hosting it and the design piece of it, all the back end stuff, $20 to $40 a month. And then another thing that's a pet peeve of mine, you need to get rid of your like Yahoo and AOL email address, especially AOL, like because younger people see that and they're like, "How old are you?"
Red flag. Huge red flag.
How old are you, people? Get rid of AOL. Gmail, it's the same thing. So I see an email and I'm like, oh, they don't even have a company email. So Squarespace allows you to work with G Suite. So that way you have a professional email that is part of your domain. And that's like $6 a month or $72 a year. So not too bad. So the Squarespace, there's like Wix, there's Weebly, Site123, there's like a bazillion things out there.
Yes.
But I personally use Squarespace, so I like them. I've also used WordPress. That's what the WordPress that you could completely customize. That's what Mayesh's older site was on. Now we're on something called OpenCart. And, but again, it's very custom. It's crazy. We don't even want to talk about that. And then like e-commerce wise, there's Shopify and there's, WooCommerce and all this other stuff. So many options out there. And then there's florist specific programs. There's like Flower Shop Network. There's Bloom Nation. There's Lovingly. And again, there's pros and cons to like all of these things. So to tell you need to do this, I think is really difficult. I think it's just doing your homework and going through, looking at the features and what best suits what you're going to do. And everything that I just mentioned, of course, I have links for you guys that will be in the show notes. So don't be frantic and be like, what did she say? I don't know what that was.
She's got it all written down. And you make a good point. Like there's just all of these things to consider and there isn't one right thing.
Right.
But what you want to know is what you want, right? I always say, what's your intention? So what do you want? Are you a flower shop that wants to get the flower network, whichever one you want to pick, that, they have a template, it's made for that sort of retail floristry selling, or do you need something that's customizable, again, like the Squarespace, and what do you want to be able to do to it? So here are a couple things you want to be able to do to it. You want to be able to add pages, right? You want to be able to, if you're like, oh, I have a brand new service, I'm adding a new page. You want to be able to update your own text on every page.
Yes.
And you want to be able to blog on your site, because while Penny's question was, what do I need to get started? And so this is the very basic, what you need to get started. But what you also need to get started is a full-on understanding that you have got to put time into this thing, building up content, because Google responds and serves up websites that have more content, more pages, more links, more pictures, more just stuff, right? That is clearly targeted to your ideal customer. So why we want to blog, which everyone is tuning out right now, blog, bleh, I don't do that, right? But take it from the marketing nerds here, right? We both blog.
Yep.
And there's a reason. It's because it is still the smartest way for your website to get to the top. It is still the cheapest, smartest way. More so than that, it is where you develop your voice of your brand. Okay, so again, branding versus marketing. And I have a whole lesson on branding versus marketing in my marketing shortcut, by the way. There are differences, and where they overlap, it looks like it's the same thing, right? but you build the voice of your brand on your blog. If you're not talking to your customers regularly, you don't know what your voice sounds like. You don't know how to talk to them. Every time you go to post on Instagram, that's the voice of your brand. And so I argue to everyone who's like thumbs down on the blog, time to go get a drink, right? You're already blogging, but you're doing it for Instagram. You're getting no SEO for your website and no actual credit from Google for who you're talking to.
Exactly.
So, we're not really looking to send people to Instagram. That's where your competitors are. We want them to go to your website. That's what it all comes down to. So you have to put stuff on your website that speaks to the heart of your client. And that's branding.
I love it. You're giving me chills, Allison. Speaking to my heart. Oh, I love it. Also about branding, because I'm looking at, I have like a shared screen to show you guys in a little bit. But like photography has changed my team's life. So like when I first started, I had no really real images of Mayesh stuff. Everything was stock images, which was fine. It worked fine. But honestly, what changed our game was when we started doing our workshops and we were hiring photographers and we had all these beautiful product images. That was when everything changed for us. Like we had the look of what we really wanted our brand to look like. We were able to control that, and everything just flowed seamlessly. Everything had like the same kind of look and feel. I didn't have like all these generic images, and it just makes a huge difference. And so like the website that I'll be showing you, you can tell like everything was very well thought out in terms of like the color and the look, and everything just flows, and you'll see. So I just think that part is really important too, is just investing in like high quality photography. Unless you're like a photographer, I don't recommend you just doing it, right? Like this is when photographers and videographers to tell your brand story that you have on your website when they land there is just huge to invest in.
Yeah. And a picture of yourself, you guys.
Yes.
So I do a lot of like one-on-ones, and I do website reviews for people. So I look at a lot of websites, and, there are so many people who still do not have a picture of themselves or their team on their about page. And we're just so used to people showing up that when you don't show up, people are like, what's this person hiding, right? Like, why aren't they here? So now, again, like, is the perfect time to update your website. And it's a perfect time to do exactly what Yvonne is saying. Get a photographer friend who maybe isn't working right now, right? And hire them, and they can take pictures, and you guys can do whatever you need to do to like make that happen. You don't have to be hovering over everything, right? You can set them and tell them what you want, check the images, and get a nice headshot for yourself. That would be a great use of your time too.
Anytime we do workshops, that's a big thing that we're like, we have a photographer, get a headshot, please. And people are like, no. And I was like, just do it. And if you don't want to use it, then don't use it. But a nice, beautiful headshot that isn't taken on your phone. Because I'm a big believer of doing a lot of things on your own. But my images never compare to like Nicole Clary or Claire Fagan and all these amazing people that we've worked with. So they're special for a reason and professional for a reason. So cannot say that enough. Allison also mentioned hiring a developer to create a custom site. I think that's great. And also in my notes for this section is I have a couple links. I'll put them in here. So Curate posted a blog, guys, imagine that. Tips for great examples of creating wedding florist websites. They have all different kinds of versions in there. They have a retail version, a wedding and design, event planning. So that way you guys can see that. And they're all really great examples. So definitely check that out. And then I have another website here that is Floral Designer Websites again. And then earlier when we were talking, I posted another example from Paige Brunton. Don't know who she is, but she had a great blog about Squarespace inspiration websites that are feminine. So kind of fit along the lines with flowers. And there is a floral design website in that list as well. So again, lots of great resources. I would even suggest going to Pinterest, creating Pinterest boards of your favorite websites, keeping track of different layouts and things that you like and that you admire. Again, it doesn't have to be floral specific. You can look outside of the floral realm, and I think that's always good too, just to see what else is out there, and just get inspiration from. And we
huge tip actually.
Yeah.
Looking outside of our industry is where you'll actually find websites. Again, I love you guys, but that function better, because what happens with Florist is your website looks real pretty, but it doesn't function. You don't have calls to action. You don't have click buttons. Every page ends with like, go ahead, find your way out of this hole, right?
Right.
You got your Instagram opening, not in a new tab. So now I'm not even on your website anymore. Now I'm on Instagram. Oh, and some people liked a photo. So now I'm clicking that. Now I'm in my own world and I lost you. I forgot what your name is, right?
Right.
Happens so much. So don't think about how pretty your website is, even though that's important.
It is important.
If it functions, I don't care if you have one page, if everything on that page functions right, your website is better than someone who has this gorgeous, so many photos, but they're not increasing engagement because they have no idea how to do that, and again, my website Bootcamp shows you how to do that. But it really is as simple as knowing what your customers are looking for, but also knowing what you're looking for them to do. What action do you want them to take? Too many websites are not asking people to take action.
CTAs and user experience. The user experience is definitely king of websites. Like if it doesn't work well for who's visiting you, then you might as well not even have a website. Like it's not even worth it. So user experience, Google that, guys, learn all about it. Cause again, that can be like a whole show, hours long all by itself. But again, I've talked about this before. Everything that I know, I've taught myself pretty much. Obviously, like working at Progressive has helped me learn things, but I didn't know anything about that either. I was a data analyst, guys, before I did that. So just something that I'm passionate about. You just got to put yourself in there.
If you're willing to learn it, you can learn it. Like I am definitely self-taught on these things, but I didn't learn it through osmosis. I sought it out.
Yes, exactly. So I have some questions in here. I don't know if we'll be able to answer this one. Jeff is saying, what is your opinion on the FloraNext website template? I don't know anything about FloraNext, Jeff.
I don't either, but I'll tell you from my experience when I have a florist who asks for a review of their website, when it's a site that's like FloraNext, I don't want to pick on them specifically, but when I'm like, oh, it would be great if you could do this, they're like, I can't do any of that.
Right. Yes.
So that's why you got to know what you want out of it. If you want something that's just ready to go and easy to plug in, and then that might be just what you want. But if you want to do like what we're talking about, where you're creating something custom, where you have full control, there are very few things I can't do on my website. There are some things, and that's why I pay someone to be my web person, because I just can't do it all, you guys. I'm a one-woman army to an extent.
Yep.
And then things like changing my footer and stuff like that, I leave that. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know the most important things. So that's really what it is. What's your intention is going to be the question that you answer to get a sense of that.
Yeah. And also just to be careful that your website doesn't look like everyone else's website. I think that's kind of the game that a lot of florists, especially the retail florists, have gotten into. And so even like my friend, like I posted about COVID and how our industry needed help, and how if you can buy flowers, please support your local florist. And she like messaged me and she goes, I really want to, Yvonne, but I can't tell who's a real florist and who's not. I go to the websites and they all look the same. And I know some aren't order gatherers. She knows a little bit more than what the average consumer does. But, if you make your website look like you and your brand, then you don't look like everyone else. And I think that's really key. You have to be able to stand out from people, and your branding, as Allison mentioned, is so important to do that.
That's true.
Yes. All right. I saw another question in here. Oh, Penny, when we were talking about photos, she says, would you recommend a stylized shoot?
It depends, it depends on how many photos you already have, how much money you have to invest right now in that, what you're really looking to get out of it. I do think that it's great to have professional photos. And frankly, that is the line, right? You should only have professional photos. They should not be watermarked. Yeah, I've got my iPhone photos and watermarked photos on my website because I would rather have a watermarked photo, you guys, than no photo at all. Because I'm not worried about my branding, right? Because that's why people say, well, you don't want to have that on there. No, the person took the photo and I'm going to use it and it doesn't depreciate me. It doesn't make me look like a schlub, okay? This isn't about me. This is about SEO.
Right.
So that's where people lose track of your intention. I would rather use that watermarked photo from a photographer, because why would you use a photo from a photographer if you don't support the photographer? Because you have to link to them anyway, right? It doesn't diminish me to do that. Would I prefer one that's not? Sure. Why? Of course, right? Because it looks better. But again, I also don't mind promoting people who are willing to share professional images with me for $0, right? So you got to just have that in mind. And some of my most pinned photos that I have, like from my website or most liked, are just photos I took myself. So, you got to know what the ideal is, what you can do, and then like what's actually happening, and incrementally move up.
And then when I'm talking about like professional photos too, guys, I mean more of like on like kind of your landing pages and things like that, on your blog and all of that. Go ahead and use those iPhone images. I'm not expecting you to spend like thousands, because professional photographers are very expensive, just like professional anything. They need to earn a living and they bring certain things to the table that you're not able to do. But I'm not saying that's all you need because we do the same thing. Like we use images that we take as well. So I create videos out of my own clips and things like that. All of that. So I think it's important to have a combination of both. But like when you're looking at your homepage and like really important landing pages, I think having professional images is really important.
100%.
And then also Penny asks, are there any free sites to get you started?
There are, but I don't recommend that. I really don't.
Yeah.
You can tell when it's a free site. It's always running an ad at the bottom. You don't have the same kind of usability that you should. So I would rather you get a one-page website that you set up yourself than doing a free site. And I know there are some people that do that, and if that's all you can afford right now, I gotcha, but it's not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. And I know like Squarespace, for example, again, I'm not getting paid from them.
Right. They are the best. I completely agree with you. I'm a WordPress person, but I would do Squarespace.
Yeah. They have a 14-day free trial. So if you're going to go like the free route, I would go Squarespace. I would make sure that you know exactly what you want on your website, that you kind of have your images curated already. You have kind of make an outline for your website, so that way you have it all together. That way you can take full advantage of that 14 free days. And then they have like the next step up, I think, is a personal, and I think it's like $12 a month or something like that. So, and then they have a bunch of different tiers depending on what you need. So might be helpful, might not. But I am with Allison, the free sites, you can tell they're free sites.
It looks like you're not invested in your business is what it looks like. And again, I love you guys. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but that is the impression, right? When I'm using the free version, it means I am not committed to this. Right.
All righty. We're going to move on, guys. So Lynn asks, is it really possible to DIY, or do you have to pay someone to optimize the website? How do I know if it's optimized?
Very good. That goes slightly out of my actual depth. The easy answer is yes, of course, right? You should pay somebody because they'll optimize. And again, it depends though on your intention. So like for me, I do not need to opt to pay somebody because I'm willing to do the work, right? If you're not willing to do the work to show up and blog, then you might have to pay somebody. So it's going to depend on those things. also like, okay, here's like, for example, sorry, I'm going to interrupting myself. You want to pay for it maybe if you're like a flower shop in a highly competitive area. Like those are the people that I hear saying that it does pay for them, because it's expensive to pay somebody to do this, by the way. And you got to understand what you're paying for. So this is the tricky, slippery slope of paying for optimization. How do you know if they're doing a good job? If you don't know how to know, I would hesitate to pay somebody, right? Because you just don't know. Same thing with Facebook ads. It's like, if you don't know how to know if they're performing for you, I wouldn't pay somebody, because you could use that money on something else. But if you are in a really highly competitive area, you got the order gatherers you're competing with, those people do seem to find some value from hiring somebody. So I'll go back to how I was interrupting myself with my thought. So like this morning, I mentioned this to Yvonne right before we came live. I just sent a $10,000 floral budget to a florist in my state, because he's just closer to the venue. And it's crazy for me to like drive all this way to do this wedding. It just makes sense to refer him. So I did that this morning. And I sent him a message and I said, I sent you this wedding. He said, oh, thank you so much. He goes, I'm using this time to work on my website. And I said, oh, thank you so much. I'm about to go live and tell people how that's what they should be doing with their time right now. But that person who found me, okay, now this person the florist is 2 doors down from the venue. I'm 2.5 hours away. And she found me, again, I ask on my contact form.
Yes.
How did you find me? I Googled July wedding flowers in Vermont and you came up. Not by magic, but because I blogged probably years ago. And so that SEO is still working for me. And so she found me. So when you ask me, do you need to pay for SEO? My answer is no, but I'm not necessarily completely, it depends again on your intention. I'll let you, I know you have some thoughts on it, Yvonne.
Yes, I do have some thoughts on this. So when you're using a website builder, guys, there's always fields to put in page titles. I use page titles on pages, even if you don't see the page titles. A lot of times I hide them because I don't like the way it looks. It doesn't fit my flow. We work on like a design, like page templates on what we want different kinds of pages to look at. But that, just because you don't see it doesn't mean that the information isn't there in the background. There's also things to put in meta descriptions, like page descriptions and things like that. And that's used again by Google and their crawlers or creepy crawler spider things that they have that work tirelessly for us to serve up the right information to everyone. Yeah. And so there's all these fields that you just need to make sure that you're filling in. And before you go ahead and do that, though, I need you to sit down and think about what people are searching for. So that might take you a little bit of time to go through and look at and do some research. How are people, and maybe ask clients, like, what did you use to search for? Like, what did you put in the Google search bar? And so that way you are using those terms to help write your page titles, help write your meta descriptions. Obviously it needs to make sense though, because Google is smart enough to know if you're like stuffing things in there that don't go with what's actually on that page. So don't do that, please, because they're going to ding you for that and push you down. But it definitely makes sense to go ahead and do that homework. So Google has like keyword tools and things like that. It shows you like search volume for different keywords. And obviously we keep on talking about geo-specific hashtags and words and things like that. So again, you might have already done some of that, but you're looking at hashtags instead of search terms on Google. So use that to kind of help you get started in the keyword world and then build around there. I also want to caution you too, because I've actually gotten an argument with my own team. So like I'll put a blog post out, right? And it doesn't do like amazingly in terms of social media and click-throughs and things like that. But what my big thing is always is that people ask us these questions. So I know that they have them. I know that they're asking Google. So I want a specific blog post for that thing, so it's like maybe taking something specific out of here, making one blog post on it. That takes time and things like that. So that we were going back and forth on whether it is worth it to do that or not. And my big thing is it is, because just because I didn't get like 100 clicks or shares on Facebook doesn't mean that it's not going to be effective down the line and into the future.
That is such a super good point, because it's not about how many people see it, you guys. I always say this with your blog. You got a blog, but nobody's reading your blog, okay? You got a blog, but nobody's reading it, because it's not about how many people, it's about that one right person, right? It's about that one person just the other day who searched July wedding flowers in Vermont, found me. That's why I wrote that blog post. I could have had a $10,000 wedding if I wanted to be like, yeah, I'll drive 2.5 hours and do that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pass this to the person who will be a better fit for the customer, right? Because she's going to get more value from that designer than from paying me to drive that distance and do that, right? So, and that's branding.
It is. It's branding. And so, and like another story for Mayesh is that before me, right, a lot of our shipping business was because our shipping sales reps would cold call. They would like look up people, cold call. And yes, that can work, right? I'm not saying that doesn't work, but it's a lot of work to do that. Now with me on board, and we've been doing this for about 10 years now, is there's not time to cold call because we have so many leads coming in that actually register, and we vet. We make sure they're the right client before we even hand them off to our sales rep. And that is huge. And they freaking love it because they just need to make a call and connect with the person that already wants to buy from us.
Yes.
And so that's just huge for me. And our website is what makes it possible to do that.
And you, again, I'm a broken record. You bring up such a good point. But that is the answer to the first question, right? Why do you need a website? Like, that is it. We need to pre-qualify people, you guys. So that's another lesson that's in my marketing shortcuts, is how to make your contact form. You got to give it a tune-up, because aside from how I already bashed your newsletter signups, because those are terrible, your contact forms are lacking. And what they are lacking is humanity. They are check boxes, put yourself into a box, drop down on budget. And then you go, they clicked my lowest budget option, but then when I quoted them, they said they couldn't afford it. Well, that's because you forced them to tell you a lie, because you didn't give them an open-ended question. You didn't vet them. You made boxes and you said, let me know which one of these boxes you fit into, right?
Right.
You can raise your hand if you are this person. It is okay to admit it, right? You're like, click as many of these boxes as possible. It feels impersonal, right? Some of them are even like, are you contacting me about a wedding, a bat mitzvah, whoa, like different forms, you guys. Like weddings go here, other events go here. We want to pre-qualify, and that's what your website can do for you, so that you're not sending out quotes to people who can't afford you, because you collected good information instead of just using the click box and the drop down and going, I have a $3,500 minimum, and they clicked that, but they only have $3,000, right? Well, you didn't allow them to share that they weren't the right fit for you. You didn't give them the opportunity to recognize, oh, wait, they don't meet my minimum, or I need to set something up here. That's what happens.
Exactly. Again, that's like a whole another thing, though.
We might need to do this monthly. We'll talk.
I agree. So much. And it's all stuff I love. I love it. Okay, but going back to how do I know if I'm optimized? So website builders have things to help you make sure that you're optimized. You have to do the homework to do that. No matter what, this is your website. This is part of your company, part of your brand. It is your virtual storefront. So you're a business owner, you got to do the homework. There's no just getting out of it. Even if you hire someone, you need to make sure that they're doing what you want them to do. You have to know something about SEO, owning a business. The next thing is, and Allison kind of mentioned it too, but Google Analytics, knowing how people are getting to you. So I look at my analytics a lot, and I know that the organic search results are a huge referral to website visitors to get to Mayesh.com. So I know, and I just want to kind of see that kind of always creeping up, right? Like if it's going up and down, there are times like when we launch a new website, our things go, whoop, they plummet. And it's just, we know that that's going to happen. So guys, if you're going to redo your website, just so you know, when you change things, usually it goes like down into the garbage before it goes back up. It's just the way it goes. And I think it's just important to kind of get to know and get familiar and get comfortable with those numbers behind the scenes, and just making sure that you're monitoring them. And then also it will sometimes, like, you have to do ads a little bit here and there to get like really good referral keyword information. So, do a couple, but don't spend a whole lot of money on it. And so that way you can kind of get that background information. And then again, if you need help, definitely hire someone. But I do what Allison does too. Like, we ask, like, how did you find us? And search results, Google is always a big number for us. So again, just kind of seeing that, you'll know that you're optimized. And then obviously looking at your Google rankings. I know that's hard, especially for retailers. Even for us, we're still working on it. We're on the first page typically, but we're usually like lower on the bottom. And we even have companies like bidding on our name and stuff like that. It's a little crazy. I just think it's, dirty. So you can go that route if you really want to, but we're not that company. And again, like I said, we don't spend a whole lot of money on ads. So go ahead and waste your money if you want to bid on Mayesh Wholesale Florist. Go for it.
Make my day.
Yeah. So those are my suggestions there. But the big one is the Google Analytics, and just kind of filling out the descriptions and everything that's kind of behind the scenes, making sure you're not missing any of that information.
Yeah. And this is not stuff that we are passionate about as florists. This is the kind of stuff that makes your ears bleed. Like, I hate hearing all of these details.
Right.
But again, you don't necessarily have to manage all these things if you can afford to pay someone who will watch these things for you. But you do need to understand them at least a little bit, so that you understand what looks good, what doesn't look good, if you're being found or not. And being found organically is just the cat's pajamas, right? Because you didn't have to pay for it and someone found you anyway.
Exactly. I love it. Carla asks, how about, my hide button is like over the words.
Upwork.
Yes. How about using Upwork to hire an inexpensive web designer / developer?
Sure, you can do that if you feel, for me, I like to know my web designer. I've learned that, again, through trial and error. It's good to have somebody you can call and ask a question or tell them to update something. I like to have a relationship with them, but you can absolutely, those kinds of sites will absolutely have somebody who can help you with that.
Yeah.
I see a question here about how often should you post a new blog?
Yep.
So there isn't one answer to that. Back in the day, back in the Stone Age, when Yvonne and I started blogging, you blogged every day. That was what you did. You wrote a blog post every day or 5 days a week or whatever, and that is what you were supposed to do. Now, because you're so busy on Instagram, which I don't want to in any way diminish how important that can be to some people's businesses. For a lot of us, it's not actually where we're doing business still. For some people, they're like, I get most of my inquiries from there. I still think your goal should be to get most of your inquiries from your website, though, because when Instagram goes away, changes the algorithm, makes you pay to get in front of your people, you will be very sorry that is where most of your people find you, right?
And by the way, it will do that. It will do that.
Absolutely,
it's just a matter of time, honestly.
Yep. Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. And so how often should you blog at this point? If you can blog once a week, you are doing more than most people. And again, at the risk of sounding salesy, in my marketing bootcamp, in my marketing shortcut, I've got 10 weekly blog post prompts in there for you. So you can think, okay, I'm going to start. I'm really going to do this thing. I'm going to get this marketing shortcut. I'm going to update my website with this 3-day boot camp. I'm going to spend, the boot camp is like 4 hours of videos meant to be spaced out over a few days. You could do it all at once, but it's not like a race to the finish line. It's like, start here, bite-sized chunks to actually accomplish it, right?
Right.
Then you can dive into these marketing shortcuts I've put together for you, where you've got 10 blog prompts waiting for you. So you can do them in order. You can do them in any order, but I put them in an order, and you can just get started. Okay, this week, this is what I'm blogging about. Next week, this. You can do 4 at once and post them once a week. It doesn't have to be brutal, but I will absolutely promise you, and I don't make promises I can't keep. I will promise you that if you start blogging once a week for 10 weeks, you are going to get one great inquiry where you are like, whoa, where did this is perfect for me. If you're not getting inquiries like that all the time, I get inquiries all the time that are perfect for me. They get to my contact form, I pre-qualify them, we have a phone call, I send them a quote, they book within a few days. Yeah. If somebody takes the whole 7 days I give them to accept a quote, that's odd, okay? So that's because I pre-qualified. It's also because I show up, okay? I show up and I blog, and it's brutal. Either way, I'm not telling you this is fun, but it's how I speak. And that's why then customers contact me and they feel a connection. So when they contact me, because I put in that time, because I show up, and again, it's not because they're reading my blog, right? It's not because my blog has crazy reads. I have 2 blogs, of course, but 2 websites, 2 blogs. But when they get to my site, everything I say feels consistent. And it's not an accident. And I didn't pay somebody thousands of dollars to write my sales copy. I wrote it all myself. It's because I practiced blogging for years and years. Where's the small violin? Oh, that's a story of all the blog. But that's how I got my voice. That's why I know how to speak to you right now. That's why I know who I am and what I do and what I don't do, right? So it's through practice that we get better. That's just a revelation, I'm sure, for you. But yeah, practice makes you get better.
Perfect. My next question is from Kathy. She says, I'm seriously considering dropping the wire service. I'm interested in a good platform to use to make a new website. Since our company is hosted by a wire service, do we own the right to the domain name? Can you name a reputable companies that I can use to create my own website? Allison, do you know anything about wire services? I really don't know. I don't think they
do. I think when you own a domain, you know it because you bought it, you paid for it. Like I know I own my domain because I made it up, I paid for it.
You renew it every year.
What exactly?
Right.
So if
it's
you
not
don't renew. See, there you go. We're detective. We're the
yes.
Did you pay for your domain name last year, or did you pay for a 3-year or 5-year or whatever? That's how you'll know if you own it.
Yeah.
And if you don't own it and you want to move, that's okay. And for me, in terms of what your domain should be, right? It could be exactly what your business name is, or it could be something that is just really easily searchable, right? So that, to me, that's really the thing, that if you're going to make a change and you do have to buy a new domain and you're like, oh rats, I've lost this one. It's not the end of the world. You can recover from that.
Right.
But ask if you're not sure.
Yeah. Another part of your question, Kathy, I think we already answered in the beginning. I did have something that was related. I feel because it sounds like you're a retail florist, and someone was asking, let me see, about printing cards. Where did it go?
Yes, I saw that.
Tickets. Yeah. Is there any software to print tickets that have everything we need, especially for placement cards? I think that's a great question. And I feel like, obviously, I don't think Squarespace is going to have something like that. They might have like a plugin that's for retail florists, but I don't know if they do. So that would be more of like a florist specific platform then for things like that.
I think so too. Like that sounds to me like when I used to work in a FTD flower shop, it prints out, you rip off the sheet. Like there's infrastructure to make that happen so that you got the delivery ticket, that was just sort of, you folded the card, you ripped it off. Like it all was magical, and printed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I know that there's been some florists that, for example, want like this beautiful kind of homepage and landing pages and be able to control the content of their website. And then for the shopping piece of it, they'll go to like, I've seen it happen like with Bloom Nation. So they'll like have their little shop link, and then the shop link goes over to Bloom Nation, which can be a little bit more customized. So that way it fits your branding and the way you look. But then I think has the stuff on the back end. But again, you're going to have to go and do that homework and see like what you actually need. And like if it's the cards and things like that. To see if that fits what you need. I'm not an expert on the ends of things. I just know about websites in general.
Do you see Susan's comment coming in there?
Yeah, she says I use Florinext to host my website. They also use Hyper Tickets, no wire service needed. So there you go. And Erica says Florinext and BloomNet do it. So see, I love all you guys. I knew you were going to help me with this show. That's one of the reasons why I love this. All right. Next question up is from Fiona. Hi, Fiona. Okay, she says, I know it's super important to have your location on your website. Thanks for the tip, Yvonne. But I have no idea how to make it happen. If I just write it in the about paragraph, is that good enough? Or is there a certain link or widget I need to come up with so that Google recognizes it as a location? I use Squarespace for my website. So I think that is a very good question. And I just wanted to show, I don't see, let me hide.
If you want to make me go away so they can see, I will not be offended, just so you know.
Do you guys see that though? It's just a blank screen right now.
Yep.
Is it blank for you?
It is.
That's weird. All right. That didn't work so well. So I'm going to put a link to 2 websites, Fiona, that are going to help you. One is Ginger Blooms and one is Thistle and Bloom. So check that out and you'll see on the homepage that is just part of the page. It says like, hold on, let me bring up the website because I'm really bad at just going off the top of my brain. Floral design studio based in the Bay Area and Northern California. Super simple. And it's in text. So I think it's important to have it in text, or if there's an image that make sure that the alt text has that in it. So that way Google picks it up for the geo-specific information. And definitely have it in your about page. Allison, did you have anything else that you wanted to share in terms of getting that information up on your website?
I think it's best if you have it in your footer so that people can it's always there and people can see it. Everything that Yvonne just said, just put it into your website. But you can be multiple places in your website. It can be on your about page. It can be on your contact form. It can be in your blog posts.
Yes.
So that the Google keeps hearing you. Every time you blog about where you are and where you do weddings, the Google gets like this little ding like, hey, this person's active in this area doing this thing. So if you want people to find you in your area doing your thing, talk to the Google with a couple of blog posts, right?
Yes, please. It's very good. I also saw real quick before we get to our last kind of bigger question. And I know we're like at the hour marker. I knew we weren't going to get it all in an hour.
We know ourselves, whatever.
I know. I knew it wasn't going to happen. It was just too much to talk about. And I want to make sure I'm giving you guys what you need. I don't want it to be a generic episode and be like, oh, the hour is over, so we're just not going to talk about it anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, as long as you're good staying on.
I'm here for it, girl. Okay. I'm here for it.
I know. I got to feed my kids soon, and we still have to finish COVID school. Darn COVID school. But we're going to get it. Kelly talks about having issues with Google. It's showing pages that I've deleted in the search results. Any tips on how to manage this? Recommend on who to hire to fix this? I'm so bad with super techie stuff. I'm just wondering if you like updated your web page, did you also upload a new what do you call it?
HTML, like a
Yeah.
new actual link.
A new link, right? That has like the new, why can't I think of the word?
Address? No?
No, it's like I want to say link tree, but it's not link tree. It's like the tree of all of your pages. It's like a file that you have to upload to Google that has all of your pages in it. I'm just wondering if you have to upload that. If there's still issues, maybe like contact like support and see if they can help you. But maybe you need someone to help you fix it. I don't know. I'm really bad with that kind of stuff because I do have like a tech team behind me that helps me with all the like super techie stuff. I am spoiled with that kind of thing. Yeah. So that's my recommendation.
Are you thinking of indexing? Is that the word you're looking for?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, did you hear me?
Yeah, you like upload your own index file. No, it's okay.
You could also, what I would do, if you haven't already done this, Kelly, I would go to Google and I would just search, why are my deleted pages still showing up on Google? And I would look for answers on Google. Or you'll find a YouTube tutorial that'll show you how to get rid of that, hopefully.
Yes, exactly. Andrea also had a really great question about like Linktree, having a page that has multiple links to a bunch of different locations in the website. She's heard good and bad things about Linktree. My recommendation always, Andrea, is to have your own Linktree type page on your website, on your domain. Again, you don't need it. It's just something else to use. I don't know if you pay for it. I don't know if it's free. I have never used it, honestly. But it's pretty easy to do. You create a page, you have the buttons or the links. I'll send you mine so you can look at it because we have one that we use for the click the link in our bio. So that's like, I call it, it's our Instagram page. And it's super easy. So definitely check that out. I just posted it in the comments. It's just mayesh.com/Instagram. And it just has all of our links that are relevant for that time. So super easy.
And totally second that. That's exactly what I would say too. That's what I do. When you go to my Instagram, I just have a page on my website that says links. And that's where I update things. So if I know I'm going to say, hey, check this out, go to my link in my bio, I just have to go to this one page on my website to update that. Again, we want to send people to our website always. Just if there's only one thing that you take away from these two marketing nerds, it is that you're sending people to your website as often as possible. That's where the action is. That's where all your best stuff is happening, right? So when people use Linktree and it's great, right? But everyone's using it. So just like the whole idea of like, watch when you're using a template, when I go to somebody's Linktree and I'm seeing all these links, it doesn't feel branded and custom, right? Even though I do believe it's free. And what I heard as a good tip was don't use Linktree because it's sending traffic to Linktree. It's not sending the traffic to your website. So for example, if you've got the pixels, if you got your Facebook pixels, right, on your website, if they go to Linktree but don't click through, you're not getting that result, right? Like Facebook is not recognizing that this person clicked through. So this is the hyper nerd behind the scenes stuff, but that's why Yvonne's smiling, because she loves to hear it.
Yes.
But that's the deal. Like when you're using Linktree, you can use it if that's what you prefer and you're like, it's all set up, I'm not changing it. But if you want to get the credit for the click, you're going to put it on your website.
Perfect. And by the way, guys, the word that I couldn't remember, sitemap. Thank you, Sarah. Why I couldn't think of that. I hate when I'm live, it happens a lot. I'm like, I can't think. And then also, if you guys you don't have like your webmaster piece of Google set up, that's something that you log in for your website and it will help you fix issues that are on your website. So I put the link for Google Webmasters too. Again, super nerdy, but gotta be good. Yeah. All right. So my last question is from Isabel. She says, what are website must-haves and what is our number one thing not to do on your website. So let's go over must-haves. I'll let you start, Allison. And we'll just
All right,
go
I think
through.
must-haves: a picture of yourself on your about page, a contact page that has a decent contact form that lists your website, your email address spelled out, so that if your form goes down or I just plain old want to email you, I can do that. And then calls to action, meaning click here to contact me. Click here to read my about page. Click here to learn more about weddings. Click here to place an order for delivery today. We need to tell people what we want them to do. You can put anything you want on your website. You can have a blog, you can have an about page, you can have all this great stuff, but you need to funnel people through the site to where you want them to go. And we do that with our CTAs, calls to action, that are, it can be a button, it can be a link, it can be a word that is linked, that is highlighted, and you're inviting people to click here, because we live in a click here society, right, you guys? If I'm like, here's a great video, you're like, I wonder what to do with that. I'm just scrolling, right?
Right.
But if I say click here to watch this video, you're like, well, I better click. She said to click here. There are probably more that I would list, but I'll stop there with the must-haves. I'll let you go.
Yeah, I love the CTAs. That's a huge one for me. And by the way, Allison is saying to spell out your email address, because if you put it in the way it is, it's going to get picked up by a creepy crawler that's not the good kind, and then you're going to end up on a bazillion lists that you don't want to be on. So that's why you want to do that. That's why you'll see, like, Yvonne Ashton at Mayesh.com, like, and the dot is DOT, like it's not an actual email address. So that's what she means by that.
Gotcha. That's actually a very good point that I was not actually making, but thank you for thinking I was smart enough to do that.
Yeah. That's when you see people actually spell out. If you put your real, that's why when you go to Mayesh.com, you don't see any email addresses because of that issue. We'd rather just people use the contact form. But I see that spelled out, and like really spelled out in a bunch of different email or websites. Okay. So for me, big one is just be up to date on the design. Right now, it's minimalistic design. So lots of white space, lots of flat shapes, simple designs, simple shapes and colors, just very clean. I feel like people, especially if they're designing their first website, they're just trying to shove so much into one thing. But your eyes need white space. If you Google user experience and best designs, you'll see like clean and the buttons, like, don't make them look like they're from the 1990s. They don't need to like have beveled edges and shadow dropping and all of that. That's very old looking. So just, again, clean, crisp, and white space.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Speaking of white space and just something on the opposite, I was reading about website design yesterday, just trying to make sure I'm just all cleaned up with all my information. And there's like the black backgrounds, right, that are big right now. Like my husband, for example, his email, you pick like the black backlit, I guess, and so everything is black. So just beware that more people are doing that on their own devices. I'm not saying create like a black website with white text. What I'm saying is that just be aware that some people are going to be looking at your stuff with a black background, and you might need to be aware of that. It's a newer thing, something I haven't even talked to with our e-commerce team and tech team, but my husband does it. So it's like, oh yeah, he does that. And my emails probably look weird. So
I don't like the way it looks personally, but he seems to like it.
Well, I do read, when I read on my phone, I have a Kindle. I read lots of books like every single night. But if I have my phone, I have it as a black screen with white text because it's easier on your eyeballs. So I get it, right? But yeah, I don't like the way it looks either. But there are people that do it. Okay, so minimalistic design. carefully thought out pages. Think quality over quantity. You don't need 30 freaking pages. If you do need 30 pages, I'm not saying don't do it, but you don't need a ton. You need to make sure you're getting the right information out there. So don't just puke it all out, like just again, sit down, make out your outlines, make your wireframes, and make sure everything's carefully thought out. Responsive design is huge. So before it would be like, okay, I'm going to have a website and then have an app. There's, now it's like just have a responsive website, meaning your website's going to look good on a full big screen and then is on a little tiny cell phone mobile device, and everything in between. So the website will then rearrange itself based off of whatever size the browser is. And then you have one website to take care of, and it looks good. We are still working on that.
Squarespace will do.
Yeah, Squarespace automatically does that. Because we're like custom everything and we have to have APIs connected to crazy stuff in the background. We're still working on that piece of it, but it's getting better. So, but it's something that you need to be aware of. But most new web builders have that. Making sure you show so Allison's talked about this too, quality content for your visitors, show that you're a knowledge expert in your industry, make sure that you're showing that you're up to date with the latest trends and things like that. No one wants to work with a fuddy dud that isn't up to date with anything. If you look old, they're going to think you're out of date, out of touch. They don't want to, especially in our industry, right? Like, I think it's important to have your brand, know who you're trying to attract, and make sure that that's shown on your website. And if you want the new brides, you need to be able to connect with them and make sure that you show that you know what you're talking about and you know what's trending and what's not, and what is, classic in your eyes too, because, you want to appeal to those people too. So again, just getting all that out there. Penny's laughing at my puke word. Sorry. It's like the mom in me. I'm so okay with all of those kinds of words. Also, Marie Kondo style. Yes, exactly. Does it give you joy? Is it going to bring joy to others, really, for your customer? Someone's losing track of time because they have to, with their kids. I get it. Where you're located, we talked about that. SEO, well-organized footers. Allison mentioned that. This should be like a listing of everything that's found on your website, kind of like a sitemap, but that's pretty and that's very easy to navigate for your customers, for your clients. At least one landing page. Again, we've talked about those. That could be a whole show on its own, but just something to get people into your funnel. I also have CTAs on that list. Making sure your site is secure, the HTTPS, not just plain old HTTP, because you're going to freak people out and they're going to think you're going to steal their stuff and, all of that.
Yep.
Guys don't want to talk to my mom. My mom thinks like everyone's going to steal her stuff. Everyone's going to steal her stuff. She's very paranoid about the internet.
Let me just clarify real quick. You said landing page, and just for anybody who's not as nerdy as us, she said you want a landing page to get people into your funnel. For anybody who's like, what now? She's saying you want a landing page that will invite people to join your email list, and that becomes your funnel where you'll sell to them for holidays, for whatever, for next Mother's Day, right? That's your landing page.
Yeah. And if you want to get really fancy, create a guide for your clients. Like if you're doing weddings and events and you get all of these questions, answer those questions before they ask them and say, here's this amazing guide that's going to help you answer all of your floral questions, and just fill out this form. That's a landing page, guys. Fill out the form, you get their information and they get the download, and then you can have them in your funnel.
It's just that easy. And if you haven't made your FAQs into a PDF, or you haven't put together top 10 tips for getting married in your area, or for ordering flowers in your area, or whatever is in your area that you want to talk about, do it, because you're the expert. And what do experts do? They create helpful free guides for people, right? Yep. To lure them into your sales funnel so that you can get in touch with them.
Exactly. Exactly. Obviously, incorporate social media. That's a huge thing, obviously. But you want to make sure you make it easy. I hate when I get to social media and I can't get to their website. And I hate when I'm on their website and I can't find their social media. It happens still. There's no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, something to consider if you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk, you know that voice technology is on the rise. We all have, I'm thinking a lot of us have Alexa sitting in our room with us. Hey, Alexa, what is blah, blah, blah? You know? So just something to consider about voice technology, people who have disabilities, impairments, that type of thing. Just a big thing. I've even like with my videos, I've had someone say, hey, this video doesn't have the text overlay on it. I really like that. Can you make sure that it's helpful? So just something to consider. Voice is going to be increasing. People are going to be doing a lot more using their voice because they don't have time to. Everyone's multitasking, and time is such a huge invaluable thing for everyone. So voice, just keep it in the back of your mind. Again, our site doesn't have any kind of anything with that, but
it's the next thing. So you got to think about it.
Exactly. Number one thing not to do on your website, Allison, what do you think?
Number one thing not to do on your website is don't take me off your website to go to Instagram or Facebook. Don't have a link that doesn't work that takes me to some wrong thing. Really, though, number one is just don't ever make me leave your site to go somewhere. Even if you're linking to that photographer to give them credit for the photo they took in this blog post that you wrote tomorrow, that you're going to write tomorrow. Yeah. It should open in a new tab. You don't want them to leave your site and go to the photographer's site and now they forgot about you.
Exactly. I always say, do not open a new tab, or do not open in the same tab. There's like a little box I have to click when I'm doing my blogging. Totally agree. And for me, it's don't have a cluttered site and make it easy to navigate. Make it easy and try to think from a client's perspective, not your own. It's about the client. It's about the customer and how, like, what do they need to know? How do you make it easy to get to the information that they really want and what they really want to do? So be in their face with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What do they care about? Like, if you're really like, where do I start with this? What do they care about? And right now it's a unique time what they care about. So, you know, it's important.
It is so important. And those are my questions, guys. I see lots of good stuff in here. I'm trying to think, since people are so visual, do you think a photo CTA would work better? That's from Penny. It's a good question, Penny.
It definitely can. You know, buttons are super easy, especially if you do have Squarespace. It's really easy to just add a button. But yes, people will click photos too. Again, you'll need to, now you need to make an infographic, right? Because you don't want them to click on a photo. You need to make an infographic that says, click here on the photo.
Right.
In order to accomplish what Yvonne and I mean by CTA.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would just keep in mind, for me, websites, people have expectations based off of like what they already know about how websites work. So be creative, but also be careful on how creative you are, because if it's way outside of the norm, people aren't going to know what to do. It needs to be intuitive. Think Apple. Like, you put it in front of someone and they know exactly what to do. So again, just be careful with that. People know what to do with buttons. They know what to do with links. It's super easy. They don't have to think about it. If you make it too hard for them, they're not going to do it. They're not going to act on it, even if you're asking them to do that.
Yep. Well, and again, you make a great point, because when I first released my website Bootcamp, I had it, on my blog, and someone said, why can't I click through to your website Bootcamp? I'm clicking on, the infographic I made, and it's not taking me through. Okay, literally right below it is a button that says click here, right?
Right.
But I hadn't set up the photo to be clickable. So what did I do? I didn't go, well, she's an idiot. She didn't see the button. I went, oh, my user wants to click that picture. So I'm going to go in and make that picture clickable. So I added a link. I made it open in a new tab so that she wouldn't leave my site, even though she would still be going to just another part of my site. I want to be in her life.
Exactly. Just got to make it easy. And everyone thinks differently. So, yeah, even in my emails, I make my images clickable. I make the buttons clickable. I make the links clickable. Everything's clickable. So that way, no matter what they do, they're going to get where I want them to go and where they want to go, hopefully.
And notice what Yvonne just said. I'm going to get them where I want them to go. It's up to us to know where we're trying to take these people. Okay. That's what a really good website is all about. And, it's like, what does your website look like right now today? That is really my question for you. Is it up to date? Does your bio say how you just won this most recent award in 2017?
Right.
What does it say right now? Do you have outward facing messaging regarding COVID-19, regarding your policies, regarding weddings in your area and what's going on? If you don't, why not? Do you not care what your customers feel right now? Do you not want to be a leader in your industry, in your market, to say to people, hey, this is what's happening and I'm willing to talk about it, and here's what to do, here's the solution, here's what we can do. Like, that is what should be happening right now after this very short talk that we just had. That you go and you look at your website today and you're like, what does it look like today? How does it function today?
Yep. Perfect. And again, if you guys need help, Allison has an amazing website course, Marketing Shortcuts. Want to do a couple more minutes about that since we're at the end and we're wrapping up?
Sure.
I have new people that missed the beginning.
Why would you want to join my marketing shortcut? So this is literally, I made it just because I was coming on here today. I've been doing weekly trainings in my Patreon subscriber group. But the only people who've seen those are the people in my Patreon group. So now I've taken the lessons that are about how to attract great clients, and that happens on your website, right? I put those into this marketing shortcut course. So you're going to get my 3-day website bootcamp, which is a really sweet course, and it's going to take you through the most important things you need to update about your website. So you're not like taking on the whole thing. You're taking on just the 3 most important things and getting those updated. And then you're going to get these marketing shortcuts, which are going to show you here. I have it all written down. I've got marketing versus branding, the difference, and really walking you through examples of where they overlap and how they're distinctly different. I share with you how to find great clients, how I find great clients. My best blog hack. If you're like, I don't want to blog, but you've been Instagramming, this marketing shortcut will be your gold mine for how you're going to populate your blog for the rest of the year. I tell you what you're going to blog about this week. I give you 10 weekly blog prompts. So you will have 10 weeks. If you're like, okay, you guys, I hear you marketing nerds. I want to nerd out with you. You'll get these 10 weekly blog prompts that will give you direction, right? Because we need a strategy. So if I say to you, what's your marketing strategy? Some of you might be like, what now, right?
Right.
It was this 2 months ago, but now it's this, right? So how do we make that happen? We do this on our website and our blog. I've got this super sweet tip for you on how to make your contact form do work for you so that you stop sending quotes to people who can't afford you. Stop sending quotes to people who can't afford you. When that happens, it's because you failed to pre-qualify. That is why that happens every time. Even though you don't want to grow an email list, I'm going to teach you how to grow an email list that doesn't suck, because you do need it.
Yes.
For the very important reasons we already said, which is you could get hacked and lose your Instagram followers, and then you have nothing. If you have their email addresses, you have more than nothing, right? Much more than nothing.
Yeah. And email marketing too for us is huge, just so you guys know. Like it really helps sales and create revenue.
Everybody does it.
Yep.
Why is Old Navy emailing you, right? Yep. Didn't they run an ad on TV, and don't they have, right? It's because the email is the direct marketing to you. It's how you click and go, well, I do feel like buying some jeans today. Thank you, right? That's how you do it.
Yeah.
There's one more thing in my marketing shortcut, which is just a really short. I am not a Pinterest expert by any means, but there are some really basic things that people are still not doing about Pinterest. So I've got a Pinterest 101 lesson in there too. So all in all, you'll get about 6 hours worth of training, but they're bite size, you guys. And like, I would love to see people do this and go through it over the course of a week. And genuinely, I believe people will book better weddings like that once you start getting these things in place.
I love it. I love it. And again, I love what Allison does, and I just love everything about the education realm, because the more we can help you guys grow, the more we can help you guys learn, the stronger the business people you are, more revenue. It just makes their whole industry stronger. So I'm just a huge believer in that. And again, if you guys have questions, just always feel free to reach out. Especially if I get a good one, I'll make a whole show out of it, like we just did. Because I want to be here for you guys. And again, we need to, especially now, band together, try and work as hard as we can to get our industry back up to where it was. I know it's going to be a long road ahead of us, but like I said, anything that we can do to help just build each other up, I think, is a great thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And self-education is the way.
It really is.
We have to teach ourselves.
Yeah, it really is. Like I said, I think a lot of people are self-taught. I think it's a big thing, and continuously teaching myself. That's one of the reasons why I love what I'm doing here, and one of the reasons why I've been here for such a long time is because it's always changing, it's always new, and it's always exciting, and just getting to learn and try different things. So, yeah, it's fun.
There's always another level. We can always go deeper with this stuff, this marketing nerd stuff.
Exactly. Like I said, we could literally be on here all day long, but I know we have lives to get back to, and blogs to write, and websites to plan. So I will let you guys get to it. Yeah, that's a wrap, guys. And that's Mornings with Mayesh, May 19th. I can't believe we're already past mid-May. And thank you guys. Yeah, it's wild. Thank you guys for spending the last hour and a half with us.
Thank you for sticking with us. We love you.
Yeah, we love you guys. I am working on a show for next week. I don't have it all wrapped up just yet, so stay tuned for our next show and the details. Again, if you're on our email list, you'll know when that is. Yeah, and always feel free to shoot me an email, DM Mayesh, or use our contact form on our website. And again, we're in this with you guys together. I feel like I'm out of loss of words because I feel like I keep on repeating myself.
Use them all up.
Yeah, I've used them all up. I know. We're in this together, guys. I'm here for you guys. I know Allison is too. I hope you take her up on that boot camp. I'm curious. I want to hear about it from you guys. And thank you for sharing all of your information on all the things that are working for you and you're already using. I love it. Makes me so happy. And with that, I'm wrapping it up, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Doing beautiful work. Bye.